Are you feeling like a victim? Are you feeling sorry for yourself? Are you unsure what to do about it? Watch this video to find some very simple steps which will improve your situation. Self-pity and what to do about it. I think there's every single human being on the earth at some stage feels self-pity. Why do we feel self-pity? Well, primarily because life sucks, or at least life sucks to some degree, some of the time. It's not possible to go through life without sometimes being a genuine victim. It's not possible to go life without suffering sometimes. And it's natural when you suffer a bit to feel self-pity. So what to do about it, how to improve the situation. Okay, the first thing we have to realize is that there's a genuine problem here. We are feeling self-pity probably because our life sucks and we need to do something about it. That's the objective side. The subjective side is, are we reacting or are we responding to life? And we actually have some choices involved in how we can deal with things, because you can have somebody who's dealing with a difficulty in their life and it doesn't bother them that much. And somebody else could have a fairly easygoing life and be very stressed. So say, for example, a person might be very successful and everything might be going very well, but they're continually stressed because they feel they have to have more money, they feel they have to achieve more, and so on. And so somebody like this is perhaps feeling like a victim, not because their life is actually tough, but they're feeling like a victim because their expectations are actually too high. So a lot of it's to do with how you react to things, okay? And so the first thing that we have to begin with realizing is that it's okay to have self-pity. It's okay to feel like a victim. There's nothing wrong with feeling the way that you're feeling. Okay, we have to accept the feelings that we have, and that's the beginning stage. I remember when I was a young guy and had various problems, the attitude to most people was pull yourself together, get on with things. Let's say, for example, in a romantic breakup, there's many more fish in the water. Now, if you're the one who's just in the middle of a romantic breakup, that doesn't make any sense to you because you want that fish, you don't want another fish, okay? If your career is imploding and people say there's more careers out there, you want that career, not some other career. If you're having all sorts of difficulties in life, it might seem like not a big deal to other people, but it could seem like a big deal to you. So I think the very first thing we have to do is realize it's okay to feel the way that you feel. You are entitled to have your feelings. Nobody should be taking them away from you. That said, we also have to realize is that maybe we are taking things too personally. Maybe we are blowing things out of proportion. Maybe our priorities are not the right way around. So how do we tackle this? So the first thing is to accept the feelings that you have. The second thing is to look at your situation and do a bit of reality checking and see to what degree is my self-pity justified. Like if you're in the middle of a romantic breakdown, if you have massive family problems, health problems, you're in a war zone, you just lost your job, you've been diagnosed with a very serious illness, it's perfectly normal and natural to feel sorry for yourself. But if you're just feeling sorry for yourself because somebody talked to you a way you didn't like them to talk to you about, or you tend to think that your life sucks in general, or you're not happy about things, well, you kind of have to start by looking back at, is this proportional? Okay, is my response proportional? Because a lot of people get into a bad habit whereby they start becoming moaning and groaning. And when I talk to people, I find when you listen to the words people use and the sentences that people use a lot, you start finding out what their world vision is. Their world vision, their paradigm, the lens through which they're looking at the world. And it's very easy to get a lens that's not helping you. So if your lens is that everybody's bad, that everything sucks, that nobody loves me, well, that's a perception that you have. It's not really the objective truth. If you have a lens that the world's full of conspiracy theories and everybody's out to go and get everybody and we're all screwed, again, that's another lens. It's not 100% objective either. If your lens is that a certain group of people have some superiority and somehow you're inferior, again, what lens are you looking at? So a lot of times we're carrying a lens around which filters everything. It's like the old saying, if you're having a chip on your shoulder. So what to do about it? How to get rid of that chip off your shoulder? The thing is to realize that although I have a situation I don't like, maybe I'm overreacting. You see, it's one thing if you've got diagnosed with a terrible disease, or you just lost your job, your relationship. But if you're just doing reasonably well and still feeling like a victim, you kind of have to ask, why are you feeling like a victim? Now, this is where we get into victim consciousness. And victim consciousness is basically whereby you feel sorry for yourself and you feel that you are a victim in life, okay? And that's not a very healthy situation to be in because it's disempowering. Yes, you can be a victim, as in something bad happened to you, but if you're still carrying that victim idea around years later, even when the situation is resolved, maybe because the color of your skin or the gender you have or the socioeconomic background you're coming from, or because somebody screwed you years ago and you're still carrying that on your shoulder, but you're just carrying that victim. That's now victimhood. You've now created an identity around victimhood. So how do we overcome victimhood? Well, the easiest way to overcome victimhood is to use a concept of the circle of influence and the circle of concern. Stephen Covey, the guy came up with the 7 habits of highly effective people, came up with this nice idea. I'll show you the diagram now. So the basic idea, what we're seeing in that diagram, is that people tend to have this huge circle of concern where they're concerned about so many things. What other people think about me, what's happening on the other side of the world, what's trending on social media, what happened to some celebrity, what about political corruption, okay, etc. The problem is this is areas of concern, but I can't deal with those areas of concern. I can't change those areas of concern. I can only work within the circle of influence. So somebody in this case who's a victim has this huge circle of concern and this very small circle of influence. Now, if you're feeling a victim by just about everything is making you feel like a victim, begin by focusing less on things you can't deal with. And think, what can I deal with? What can I do? And so things I might be able to do, for example, let's say I'm worried about the environment and what about global warming? And I'm crying into my pillow every night because of global warming. Well, I can't do much about global warming, but I could do something about my environmentalism. I could do something about my local area environmentalism, maybe, promoting recycle, reuse, etc. So I should focus on that. I should focus on, what's the things that I can usually influence? The things I can usually influence are things like my family, my friends, my colleagues, my neighbors. I can be nice to people in the street. So I can make changes in my life that will affect things around me. And what that does is I get a feedback from it. And that feedback of working on areas that I can influence is that it boosts me in some way and makes me feel well, okay? So for example, in my day job, I work as a school teacher and I work with students. And I do this sort of training with students. And I do reach out to students and I regularly help them change how they think about things. And in a small way, that's increasing my circle of influence as I work with my students. Here on YouTube, again, I'm helping some people on YouTube as well. And in my daily life, I look at my family and I look at my friends and I look at my colleagues and think, could I do better? Can I reach them more? Am I being good to them? And when I focus on those things which I can work on, I feel better. And slowly but surely, my circle of influence increases and my circle of concern becomes smaller. The day that your circle of concern is smaller than your circle of influence, you will no longer feel like a victim. Now, you can sometimes be a victim, as in something bad can happen to you, but you won't be carrying this victimhood, because the victimhood is always you're more concerned about lots of things happening outside yourself, okay? Now, here's the second great thing that will really help you. That is gratitude. Develop an attitude of gratitude. Some research has been done on the power of gratitude. I'll link an article down below. And what they've realized is that people who have a lot of gratitude have less anxiety, less depression, and less suicidal feelings. And it's very logical when you think about it. When you develop an attitude of gratitude, you're cheering yourself up. Human beings need a lot of cheering up, and we need a lot of social acceptance by other people. But if we're waiting for other people to socially accept us, we might have to wait a long time. So in the meantime, while you're waiting for people to actually say nice things to you, and that you should go up to social order in some way, be respected by other people, so you can appreciate yourself. And if you get into the habit of every day of being grateful for something, it actually acts a bit like a kind of a lubricant in your life. It cools you down. Think of your heart as a place that's full of feelings, and that when the heart becomes overwhelmed by hot feelings, I'm not talking about romantic hot feelings, I'm talking about the feelings of being burned, the feelings of somebody's gaslighting you, something terrible is happening. Well, we need to pour some kind of liniment on that, something that cools it down, calms it down. And gratitude grounds us and stops us feeling bad about things. Because one side of things is the victimhood, which is everybody's screwing me and I'm screwed. That's one side. But the other side as well is just generally, okay, I'm not feeling like a victim, but I'm feeling stressed. Life is so unfair. It's so nasty how people treat each other. It's so bad how the world is set up and there's all these wars and famines and problems and nobody really gives a shit about anybody, okay? And this is pretty objectively correct. I mean, the world is a mess. But why am I losing my peace of mind about it? That's where gratitude comes into. I'll give you a little story. Many years ago, I knew a guy. I didn't know this guy personally, but I knew people who knew this guy personally. And he crashed his motorbike at 180 kilometers per hour, 110 miles an hour, into a electricity kind of, one of these steel boxes, transformers, I think they're called. And he didn't die. He broke lots of bones. He wasn't even paralyzed. He was in a mess. And when he woke up, he actually woke up smiling. People say, how did he wake up smiling? And the reason why this guy woke up smiling was that he thought he was going to die. The last moment of his life, the last moment of his conscious awareness, he was heading towards this electricity transformer. And yeah, he was banged up, but he wasn't paralyzed, he wasn't dead, and he was able to make a recovery, although it took time because a lot of injuries, but he was basically able to survive. It was his lucky day, his guardian angel looking after him. The astrology was in his favor, statistical odds, call it what you will. He was in luck. He did not die. And he was happy he did not die. So two people can have the same situation. Two people can have an accident. Another person can have an accident and it will ruin their lives. They'll literally be, oh my God, my life is ruined. Because if you talk to anybody who's been in a serious accident, they can be banged up, and that banged up thing can go on for weeks, months, years, all sorts of lingering problems, and it drags you down. But this guy's attitude was very positive. So you can take two people, have, say, a car crash or a plane crash or something bad happens, and one person sinks and the other person goes up. Now, I'm not saying it's easy if you have something really bad happens in your life that's really traumatic. You're in a war zone, you're in a terrible accident, you get terrible ill health, some terrible problems in your family, etc. Yeah, I understand. But what I'm saying is, even no matter how bad things are, try and look every day at nighttime before going to bed and think, what's three things? Three things I'm grateful for, okay? Let's say the bus breaks down on the way to school. Instead of thinking, oh my God, I'm late because the bus, think, well, I'm only late half an hour. Could be late longer. Let's say you lose your job, okay? Okay, I lost my job, but it could be worse. I could be living in some country that's a big war zone right now, and I'm not. It's okay, I can get another job, okay? It could be that you cannot pay the electricity bill or the heating bill this month because all the prices are so high. Yeah, it sucks, but I'm still alive, I'm physically fit, I'm going to get stuck in, I'm going to do it. I'm not talking about wishful thinking here. I'm talking about using psychology to deal with life. So in life, we have objective problems, but we also have a subjective way of thinking about the problems. And it's not that you don't have problems, it's just that the self-pity won't actually help you. What will help you is a can-do, pick yourself up off the floor attitude. So these two things will really, really help you. Number one, or say three things. One, accepting how I feel. And don't let anybody tell you that you should feel differently than you do, because your feelings are your right as human being to have your feelings. Number two is do a reality check. Is my response proportional, or am I becoming too serious, too self-involved, falling into victimhood? Am I responding? Am I reacting? And the cure to that, of course, is to increase your circle of influence, reduce circle of concern, And the third thing is develop an attitude of gratitude. Because even if you're faking it, this whole idea of fake it till you make it, you're forcing yourself to in a positive attitude. I used to work in sales, and you just can't think about now how matter, your product is sucking, your company is sucking, your presentation is sucking. But God, if you don't believe in yourself, you're never going to sell anything. And same thing with getting back on the wagon regarding you're trying to overcome addiction, or you're trying to go and develop it, you're trying to attract somebody romantically, or you're trying to get a job, you're trying to prove. You've got to have this attitude of positivity in your life. But it's hard to have it when you have these things pulling you down. And this is where gratitude will really, really help you, because you're forcing yourself to think a bit more positive. You're forcing yourself to change your attitude. And yes, you are right. Life does suck. Let's be objective about a lot of challenges in life. But there's no point in feeling sorry for yourself. It won't help you one little bit. Try those three things. Accepting your feelings, reality checking, and gratitude. And they will really, really help you improve your self-pity situation and get you back on the road to progressing with your life. I hope you like it. Please like and subscribe if you do. I'll talk to you next time.